It's the sport of kings. Better than diamond rings. Football. Wildcats. Football. Wildcats. Football. Wildcats. Football. Wildcats. Football. Wildcats. Football.
Welcome to the Married with Picks podcast, season 4, episode 2, week 2. So I have to admit I made a mistake last week when I did the intro. I said season 3, and when I went to do the files, I tried to save it as season 3, week 1, and it said this already exists. And I was like, oh shit, this is actually season 4. Do you believe it?
Oh my God, it's gone so fast. You forgot a whole season.
I did. I forgot a whole year. Okay. All right.
It's amazing.
So here we are. Season 4, episode 2, week 2. Did you want to point out?
I just want to come up clean. I mean, I had a bad read. I don't think I've ever had this bad of a start of the season. I the games I picked, I only got 3 winners, and probably my 3 favorites were losses. So
Meanwhile, I was
the good news
9-4 overall, but that counts
record.
the Thursday game. So 8-4 for podcast games.
Oh, awesome. Well, I feel confident I can pull a rebound this week, but you look good. You look really good.
I won the 2 bets that we had,
both of them
with each other.
You're up $40 with me.
I am. I know what
It's a bad start for my season.
What I was going for there was the little stat that you gave me earlier, which is really like mind blowing. Nothing.
What, the Eagles are 2-0?
The Eagles are the only.
Do you know who the best record in the NFL is?
The only 2-0 team.
Yeah, the only team to be 2-0, the Philadelphia Eagles. Love it.
Okay, good. Get rid of that in our little mirror holding it up. All right, so moving on to week 2. We have our first game is the Chargers, and I redid this, so I'm not versus this week. Chargers at the Titans. And I have to admit that I'm so glad that the NFL ticket moved to YouTube TV because we can actually watch any game we want at this point. And I started out last week watching the Titans game, and then it got to the point where I didn't want to watch the Titans game anymore. So Ryan Tannehill looked pretty bad. Titans did get the cover. Tannehill had 3 picks. He was forcing the ball to Hopkins, and it just wasn't pretty. But Vrabel as a home dog, this is their home opener. One major cause for concern. DeAndre Hopkins is questionable. He was DNP at practice Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, which being did not participate on Friday is usually not a good sign, but we'll see what happens. If he does not play, I might have to reconsider this pick, but I am going to take the Titans here at minus. Well, it was -3. I just checked before we came up here, and it's down to -2.5 in favor of the Chargers. But like I said, I'm going to stick with the Titans as the dog as long as Hopkins plays.
I love Tennessee if Hopkins plays. That's the key for me. There's a home dog here, and I think Tennessee looks to put the Chargers down 0-2, which is going to put them in a bad situation, much like they played last season in bad situations after a quick start. So they're going to look to go down 0-2 after they play Tennessee this week, but we have to keep an eye on that injury update.
One other injury on the other side. Eckler is actually doubtful on the injury report, and Bosa is questionable. So I think the Titans will definitely be able to run the ball, but they do need that guy to kind of stretch the field for them.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Eckler to play in this game. That's from what I was reading, but
we don't see too many doubtful, so I would assume that means it's very likely to be out.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so we're both on the Titans there.
Home dog.
All right, next game is the Green Bay Packers at the Atlanta Falcons. It's at -1.5 in favor of the Falcons. Now, I am really unsure of what to make of the Packers at this point. I was on the Bears last week. That didn't plan out so well. Aaron Jones in this game is questionable. It sounds like he's trending towards not playing. Falcons did get the win last week. They played at a very slow pace. Obviously, they're a run-first team. Interesting stat I heard on the radio. 60% of, and I have to, Desmond Ridder, 60% of his passes were behind the line of scrimmage last week. So I don't have a strong feel on this game. I would lean towards the Falcons, but I'm not sure I'm going to actually bet this game.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I'm in the same situation. I don't know if I want to bet it. I'm leaning towards Atlanta. They're the home team. I don't know that I buy that Jordan Love is that great. I mean, he only has about 150 yards throwing last week against Chicago, but he did have 3 touchdowns and they put up 38 points. So is Green Bay that good? Love's been waiting around, practicing for a while, waiting for his turn. Maybe he's that good, but 150 yards doesn't give me a lot of encouragement. The Bears tend to have a good defense, but they did give up a lot of points. I'm not willing to trust Jordan Love yet. I like the Atlanta running game, and I think that they'll be able to be successful against Green Bay, but, I would tread lightly.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of Desmond Ridder. I don't think many people are.
All right. Well, apparently Arthur Smith was asked whether he would give Taylor Heineke a go, and he kind of bristled at the question. So, all right.
Interesting.
Next game.
If Heineke plays, if that's like a halftime switch.
Well, if I personally love Taylor Heineke, but I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, you got to give this guy a shot, right?
Yeah, I think I'm willing to.
I mean, it's way too early in the season.
I think I'm gonna. I like that. I actually think that has a high probability of happening, but I don't know how committed they are to Ridder. If the game is out of hand, or even if it's within reach, if their defense is playing well, it was a low-scoring affair in the Atlanta game last week. I could see Heineke coming in if they're down 3, down 4, and they miss some big opportunities or bad quarterback play.
Yeah, maybe. I forget exactly what the thing was, but Ridder must have done something wrong, and then after that, it was kind of like you could see like a shift and, maybe like running the ball a lot more. So, I guess it's not. Atlanta. They could go up 2-0 on the season. That would be pretty good for them. Yeah. But, yeah, all right. So, next game is the Colts at the Texans. This is a division game, right?
Yes.
Okay. Texans are -1.5. That's actually down to -1 right before we came up here on FanDuel anyway. So obviously Colts have some issues at running back. We all know about Jonathan Taylor. They had Deion Jackson as their starting running back last week. He had 13 rushes for 14 yards. So obviously they want to run the ball. They're not being successful running the ball. I still think that the Texans might have some life with their new coach. So, it's obviously 2 bad teams. I wouldn't get carried away, but I do lean Texans on this one.
Well, it's Stroud versus Richardson, 2 of the high first-round draft picks of the 2023 draft earlier in May, going against each other. I'm leaning with you. I think I like.
So what was that? Richardson was 1, Stroud was 2.
Yeah, I think Indy is the pick here, though. I don't like Houston that much. I think that the Colts should be able to go into the road here and pull one out. They're a 1-point underdog, right? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't really matter. It's basically who you think is going to win the game. I look for the Colts to take a tight one.
Okay. I'm going to write this down because you didn't necessarily remember all your picks. All right.
I went back and listened, but now I'm writing mine down. So
okay. All right. Next game is the Seahawks at the Lions. Lions are favored by 4.5 points. So probably the biggest thing, and if you've listened to any football talk this week, you've probably heard that Seattle is going to be without both their tackles. And they actually signed Jason Peters. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I see that guy stealing money, dude. Yeah,
pretty much. He's 41 years old. He will not play this week, and that just goes to show you where they're kind of at. These teams actually played last year. It was a bit of a shootout. Lions lost 45-48. I believe that game was at Seattle, but I could be wrong. So obviously last year, Geno Smith came out and kind of surprised everybody. That didn't happen last week. They got beat by the Rams pretty good. I didn't necessarily like what I saw out of Jared Goff on the Thursday night game against the Chiefs. He looked like Jared Goff. But the Seattle defense is pretty bad. Lions defense did look good in that game, and obviously they got the win. This is going to be their home opener. So I got to go Lions here.
Yeah, I mean, with the tackle injuries, it's tough to go Seattle. Normally, I would look to take Seattle in this position, but it's hard to really put your money down there. Detroit's just a 4.5-point favorite. I mean, I know they're coming off the big wave and beating Kansas City on the road to start the game or start the season. It was a 1-point win. I just hesitate to be able to take Detroit as a 4.5-point favorite, regardless of the situation. I don't know that they've earned that against anybody.
Jared Goff is always better at home.
Look, I like, and I admittedly like Detroit. I like a lot of the players are doing. St. Brown is
Big
one
game.
of my favorite receivers in the league. And I'm still telling you that I'd be scared of a 4.5-point line because you still have some receivers on that team that can, if you can buy some time, you can get these receivers down the field. They're as good of a threat in the NFL as anybody with DJ Metcalf. Right?
Okay. All right.
No way.
Well, I couldn't do it last week against the Rams.
Yep.
I think the Lions defense is a lot better.
Hopefully they'll be a little bit more prepared, but I'm not literally taking a pick here.
Okay. I am on the Lions. Next game is the Bears at the Bucks. I was obviously wrong about the Bears last week. I don't think they're any better than they were last year based on what they did last week. Baker, I guess, played well enough in that game to get the Bucks the victory against the Vikings, but he's usually only good for so long. I don't have a strong take, and I don't have a pick on this.
I feel like the Bears looked so bad against Green Bay that they're going to come back and look like a whole different team, like one of those ebbs and flows of the season. I think the Bears are going to come in here probably at a 3-point underdog by the time the game goes off. But right now it's 2.5.
Yeah, Bucks are favored by 2.5.
Yeah, Bucks by 2.5 at home. I'm going to go Bears.
Okay.
I think they get the run game going against them.
I got to see it before I'm going to believe it.
Yeah, well, they have too much talent. I mean, they got the AJ Moore there, and everybody was expecting big things from them last week. And I think your gut instinct is right. There's just, for whatever reason, Green Bay had their number. They always have their number.
I thought it was Aaron Rodgers.
I thought it was too, but apparently it's the green and gold.
Okay. All right. So next game is the Raiders at the Bills. Bills are favored by 8.5. So I think I said it last week, but I really do think, and I couldn't come up with the right expression here, but I think the Bills are on the backside of the hill. I don't know what the expression is. I don't know what the expression is I'm looking for, but that gets my point across, right? Like their window is closing.
Their window is closing is what you want to say, probably.
Well, they're on the backside.
2 years ago, I remember that's all you heard was the window's closing. We talk a lot about that on like Joel Embiid's career for the Sixers or the window to win a championship.
The Bills are there. Josh Allen had 3 picks last week against the Jets. They couldn't get it done against Zach Wilson. So Jimmy G was serviceable in Denver. So he went into Mile High and hung with against a pretty good defense. So I think he can keep them in it. I mean, I definitely think the Bills probably win this game. They kind of have to win this game because they can't go. And I guess that's an important point. You look at some of these teams, and we're going to get there next, actually. Like the question that I keep asking for some of these games is like, is this team going to go 0-2 on the season? And apparently there's some stat, I didn't write it down, but teams that go 0-2 to start the season, like the odds of them making the playoffs are not good. So I don't.
That 0-2 is the mark. Like it's real historically.
Now, obviously,
it's gotten a little better.
There's an extra game now.
It used to be back in like the 80s, up and through the 80s, maybe some of the 90s, that if you were 0-2, like you rarely ever got into the playoffs. But now that they've expanded the playoffs and you can get in with a little bit more help,
and there's an extra game.
It's still tough to do, but it happens more often recently.
So I mean, I think the Bills win, but it's a big line. And I got to take the points.
Yeah, I'm on the same side to make it long story short, but I'm going to go into a little bit detail here. I think the Bills are way too favored in this game. I mean, 8 points more than a touchdown is too much. You really have the tale of two quarterbacks here. Whether you like Allen or you like Garoppolo, here's the facts of the situation. Allen, 2 words to describe Allen is all I got to say. Hero ball. Right? He constantly wants to be a hero. It worked out for him once until they had to kick off to Kansas City in overtime. And that was the best I've ever seen Josh Allen. But other than that, he makes reckless decisions. And I think when you look on the other side of the football, the quarterback for the Raiders is Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's the exact opposite. He's Mr. Conservative. He is a solid quarterback. He's accurate. He's not the most accurate. He doesn't have the best arm. He's not the fastest quarterback. But if we're honest with ourselves, the guy can pretty much do everything really well. He just has problems in the playoffs, and that's another story. We're not in the playoffs here. So I think it's too many points. I think Hero Ball is going to get himself in trouble, and I would take the consistent. Let's remember, the Raiders still have Jacoby Myers, right, that they got. They have.
He's doubtful to play because I think he's concussed.
Oh, Myers? Yeah, okay.
But they have Adams.
You still have Adams on there, and you have Jacobs running the ball, right? Yeah. So I think they have enough weapons to go in there and get the job done. I would take Vegas plus the points. Hey, listen, Buffalo wins by 3 maybe.
Yeah.
Still not close to covering.
Yeah. All right. So the next game is the Chiefs at the Jaguars. Chiefs are favored by 3.5. We have Andy Reid versus Doug Peterson. These teams did play last year as well. The Chiefs won that game 27-20. And again, this is where
I had 27-17.
There was a field goal at the end, made it 27-20. So this is where I'm asking myself again, are the Chiefs going to start the season 0-2? And I think the answer to that is no. My only concern there is that what everybody is saying? And does that mean something? If all the money is going to be on the Chiefs, then I could see this game being a 3-point victory and the hook gets you. So
I'm taking the hook. I mean, I like Jacksonville. I think that they can go get them. I think they lose the game probably, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville wins this game. My pick, again, is Trevor Lawrence to get his act together and look close to an MVP candidate by the end of this thing. So I think, Kansas City coming in off that loss, they're going to be looking to
and I think Travis Kelce will be back in this game.
Is he?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that might make a difference, but if it's a hook, I'll take Jacksonville.
Okay. All right.
You like who?
Chiefs.
You want $20 or 3.5?
I would prefer. No, I told you I don't like the hook.
Okay, 3.25.
All right.
No action.
Next game is the Ravens at the Bengals. Bengals are favored by -3. This is a division game. The Bengals have won 4 of the last 5 games against the Ravens, including one game in the wildcard round last year. Burrow did not play well last week. He actually threw for 82 yards. Interesting stat for this one, 98% of his snaps were in shotgun. So you have to wonder if maybe the calf is not fully healed. It seems like they have in the past gotten up for these games against Baltimore. So I am going to take the Bengals here. Baltimore is suffering from some injuries. Obviously, J.K. Dobbins is out. Offensive tackle Ronnie Stanley, center Tyler Linderbaum, cornerback Marlon Humphreys, and safety Marcus Williams. So I got the Bengals here. What do you got?
So we're looking at Gus Edwards and Hill running the ball for Baltimore, but
and
we
Lamar.
all know they're not the 2 primary ball handlers. Exactly.
They also have Melvin Gordon, I believe, on the...
Melvin Gordon got caught up in the practice squad, but I'm not really expecting much out of him. I remember how that went last year. Listen, this is a tough one because Baltimore is a solid team. I mean, they are solid. They consistently put up one of the best records in the league, but I just can't imagine that Cincinnati's going to look as bad as they did week 1.
Mm-hmm.
In Cleveland, it was a division game. This is also a division game. So they're coming out with 2 tough games out of the chute. We could have Cincinnati and San Diego, both 0-2. to start the season.
Well, the Chargers, that wouldn't really surprise me much. But
It's going to be crazy. I wouldn't really touch this game with a 10-foot pole. It's a division game. It's tough. Probably say take the points. But I'm cheering for Cincinnati.
okay. All right. Next game is the Giants at the Cardinals. Giants are favored by 4.5. So the Giants.
Are they that bad?
I don't know what happened last week. I mean, obviously,
They can't be that bad, and
all
Dallas
the
can't be
Giants.
that good.
Well, I mean, here's, I guess, the thing. Like, obviously, they overachieved last year. Dayball was like the darling of the coaching world. They come out week 1 and they just got destroyed. I mean, they got shut out 40-0. It was pretty brutal in a division game on Sunday Night Football. I don't know. And I said to you, like, during that game, like, how do you recover from this? Like, if you're Dayball, like, how do you motivate these guys now?
Can I ask a serious question? And I'm not trying to poke fun at all by the circumstances around the game. Well, I mean, I don't know, with that weekend, with it being around 9/11, does that put more pressure on like the New York teams?
I don't think that had anything to do with it, though.
I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. I don't understand what.
So I don't know.
40-0.
I was asking, like, how do you recover from that? But then I look forward to the schedule and I see the Cardinals week 2. So it's definitely a get right spot. I mean, they were serviceable last year, so I can't imagine that they can't get it done here. So I do have to pick the Giants. It doesn't feel good, but
I'm in the same boat.
I mean,
I
they
feel
kinda
like
have
that's the NFL, right? Like when you think they're zigging, they're zagging, right? And I can't imagine that. I mean, the Giants are an easy team to jump off the bandwagon. I mean, I thought that they were going to be decent this year and make a run for the division, and it's only 1 week, right? The thing you have to consider is that Micah Parsons, whether you like him or hate him, is a pretty damn good football player. And he does have game-changing or game-wrecking talent. If you have a hole in the offensive line and the Cowboys are smart enough to exploit it with him blitzing, which is there's other guys like Lawrence on that line. Guys are pretty good, but you got to consider that he just wrecked that offensive line and that they can get their act together and come here against a bad Arizona team on the road and win out in the desert. And I'm going to go with the Giants as well.
okay. All right. So
Daniel Jones can't be that bad.
next game is the 49ers at the Rams. 49ers are -7. And this is probably my favorite game of the week. I always have to circle these on the schedule because, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, Kyle Shanahan owns Sean McVay. He's won all 8 regular season games against him. In the past 4 seasons, McVay did get the playoff victory in 2022. But Shanahan now has Brock Purdy, who, and we saw in the game against the Steelers, the confidence that he has in Purdy that he never had in Jimmy G. Very early in the game, 4th and 1 in their own zone, and he went for it without hesitation. He had that circumstance, I believe, in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. He didn't go for it. He punted it back to Mahomes, and they went on to win. So I like the 49ers. I always like them against the Rams. And I think that Shanahan with Purdy has that confidence that he didn't have before. So I like it even at 7. What do you think?
If I had to take it, I mean, it's another division game. It's tough to give up 7.5 points to a home team. That's what I think. I mean, if I had to take it, maybe I'd take San Fran. It's a non-play for me. I mean, it's just too many points. I like San Fran. The thing is, I like San Fran. I think maybe this is just San Fran rolling, and it's like they are looking to take that next step up, whether they do in the playoffs or not. We could see, though, them steamroll through the regular season schedule. So I worry about that. Put a gun to my head, I'd probably take San Fran, but I can't. Can't in this division matchup give up 7.5 points, but you're right.
7.
7. I see 7.5 flashing too. So I don't know if it's starting to trend down in a couple places, but I see more 7.5 than 7.
Okay. Well, I bet it at 7.
That's right. You don't have that. So more 7.5 than 7.
Huh,
I'll stick to my word.
Good for you.
I'm saying if you get that extra hook, you got to consider taking the Rams, right?
I wouldn't consider. I would put it in a teaser and call it a day.
I'm sure that hook's in there because everybody's taking the Niners.
All right. Next game is the Jets at the Cowboys. So obviously after what the Cowboys did to the Giants, and then we saw what happened to Rodgers in that game. Obviously, the 4 snaps that he did play, you could tell that the offensive line wasn't good. You mentioned Micah Parsons already. So you have to wonder whether the Cowboys are going to do the same thing to the Jets in this one. The line was at -9.5. It's down to -8.5. And I don't know what you have flashing over there, but I don't know what. Yeah, what the line is, because it was 9.5. I showed it on FanDuel.
It's flashing at 9.5. 9.5.
FanDuel had it down to -8.5 right before we came up here.
Okay.
So it's a lot of points. You got Zach Wilson. Like, I don't know.
That is an 8.5. There's no 9.5.
Okay. So obviously that's moving in the Jets, the Jets' favor. I know.
I can't see.
Glasses. So what do you got? You like Dallas at that number?
I don't like the Jets. I mean, I leaning towards Dallas, but it's not a huge play for me.
Okay. I mean, if you like Dallas, I'd probably put them in a teaser, but I can't take them at -9.5. But I worry about the Jets' offensive line in this one too. So
I'm out on the game, but I think the Jets' defense is for real.
Yeah, the Jets' defense is good, but what about their offensive line?
What about their quarterback?
Dak. Oh, I did hear somebody on the radio say play Dak to throw an interception.
I mean, what about the Jets' quarterback? He sucks.
Well, maybe this is his opportunity. Maybe he learned his lesson.
On more of his friends' mothers, maybe.
Oh, maybe he learned his lesson.
Oh, we'll see.
All right.
Seems like kind of a jerk. Like, even like you would think that if there was a forgive and forget kind of thing, you would see more fanfare with his teammates. Like when he was.
Apparently his teammates don't like him much.
I don't think that's changing.
Yeah, that's probably not a good sign. But all right, moving on. Next game.
It's bro code, man. He broke bro code.
Is the Commanders at the Broncos. Broncos are 3.5-point favorites. Commanders did get the win last week. They did not cover. Broncos played a close game with the Raiders, but lost. Now the Commanders have to travel to Mile High. I don't like the hook, but I think Sean Payton probably gets his first win in this one. I would prefer it like at least down to 3. Are you on the Sean Payton bandwagon this week too?
No, I'm on Washington.
Really? I
like Washington. I don't know if they're going to win the game. I like that hook.
I'm zigging, you're zagging. One of us is going to be right.
Yeah, I'm going on Washington because they're getting a half a point, 3.5. I like it. I think it's a 3-point game either way. I don't like Denver that much. I mean, how are you going to just listen, if it was going to be Sean Payton, I thought Sean Payton was going to, I reevaluated from last week.
Okay. It's a slower process.
Yeah, I'm taking Washington.
Okay.
I don't feel like I need to go into any more detail other than don't overhype Sean Payton. I know he's a good coach. It's still Russell Wilson. It didn't seem like they worked out their kinks. Russell Wilson still seems like the punk that they signed last year, not the guy who won the Super Bowl in 2015 or approximately thereof.
All right. All right. I lost my schedule here. Okay. All right. So next game is the Dolphins at the Patriots. Obviously, this is a division game. Dolphins won the first matchup against the Patriots last year. They lost the second, but they had Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback, so you really can't count that. And yes, I hate Teddy Bridgewater.
You do.
So the Dolphins looked pretty good last week, obviously, Tua and Tyreek Hill. Patriots looked better than I expected last week. Against the Eagles, you guys were up 16-0 early, and you kind of thought the game was over. But the Patriots were able to make a game of it. But after watching you guys play Minnesota last night, I have to wonder if the Eagles defense is not that good this year. So maybe the Patriots, you can't give too much credence to that. This line is at -3 in favor of the Dolphins. I mean, you can never count out Belichick, but I think the Dolphins have too much firepower, and I gotta go Dolphins.
All right. Well, there's a couple of things I didn't like about what you said, like the Eagles defense not being good after last night's.
Mm-hmm.
They had a bunch of key injuries. Their starting cornerback was out. Their best safety was out. And he took advantage of that against playing against the Vikings, who the Vikings have the best receiver in the National Football League. So let's not jump off the bandwagon yet, because that offensive or defensive front line for the Eagles is pretty damn strong. But we're not talking about the Eagles. I understand that. So we'll jump back to Miami. I like Miami. I think New England, rightfully so. There's flaws. Not to talk about the Eagles, but to be honest, there's flaws with the Eagles. They have a new offensive coordinator. That's where you need to worry about. And their play calling is not good. They should have lost to New England week 1 was my point. They got lucky to get out of there. They probably got lucky to get a win last night. But I defer to the game at hand, which is the pick of maybe the week, which is the Miami Dolphins is going to go into New England. They've had a lot of success playing against New England over the last couple of years, even when Tom Brady was still there, with Fitzpatrick and Fitzmagic going into New England. I think that will continue, and there's a ton of points that probably should be added onto this line. I think they're a touchdown favorite. I mean, Miami showed last week they're going to put a ton of points up. Maybe they take away Tyreek Hill, but there's still a lot more offensive firepower on that team.
Okay. I was going to say something there, but regardless.
I talked too long. And you forgot what you were going to say?
Yeah, I wanted to throw in a couple of things about the Eagles, but now I can't. It's too late.
Let's just move on then, because that's not going to be positive. You can already see right now where that's going.
All right, so the next game is the Saints at the Panthers. It's at -3 in favor of the Saints. I don't really have much on this. I would lean towards Saints. I have nothing to back it up. I don't know if you have any thoughts.
I would lean towards the Saints too. I know they're a dome team on the road, but I just don't like Frank Reich yet. I think he's going to take a little bit of time, if this quarterback's going to be any good, that they drafted, to get him up to speed. I like Frank Reich in the long run, and that's where I had to check myself from last week too. I gave Frank Reich too much credit with the rookie quarterback. Got to get there. I love Frank Reich, but I'm going to take New Orleans.
I have a question about this, because Sirianni worked for Reich, right?
Yeah.
And then he gets the job in Philly, gets to the Super Bowl in his first season. And meanwhile, like Reich, who I think is a good coach, and obviously when he went to Indy, he thought he was going to have Andrew Luck, and it's just all kind of been downhill for him since then. But you think he's like bitter that like Sirianni got the like lucky starting gig?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Frank Reich doesn't seem like a bitter type of guy.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, he's a backup quarterback behind,
Well, the bottom line is he had Andrew
Kelly.
He had Andrew Luck when he took the job.
Lost 4 Super Bowls. I mean, this is the most patient, nice guy. He's very religious. That's his demeanor. I just say he's religious because that's the way he carries himself. It's a big part of his life and his personality. But he handles himself in a very dignified or respectful manner. So I don't think that he is bitter at all. And you'd be surprised, I think, what he's going to do down in Carolina in the long term. But for week 2, I don't like him so much.
Okay. All right. And then the final game of the week is the Browns at the Steelers. Browns are -2.5 point favorites. This is a division game. I guess it's the Steelers' second game at home. But we watched them get blown out last week by the 49ers. I was not surprised. I am not a fan of Mike Tomlin. It seems like a lot of people love Mike Tomlin. I don't think he's ever done anything great. So I got to go with the Browns. They're going to be able to run the ball. The Steelers are going to be without Cam Hayward, who is, big against the run. So Browns want to run the ball. 49ers did it last week. So I got to go Browns.
All right. The only thing I have to say about this game is don't forget to hit like or subscribe for the Married with Picks podcast.
Nice.
I don't really like anybody on this side. It's a division battle. I got burned by Pittsburgh last week, and I like kind of where Cleveland's going. I'm not going to start hating on Watson, the football player, yet, because I think he's got a shot to kind of rekindle the old quarterback magic ways that he used to do in Clemson and early in his career against Houston. So it's a tough game for me. I'm going to lay off.
All right. So we don't have any bets then.
Yeah. Is a Kansas City Jacksonville game?
You want the Seahawks? I'll take the Lions.
No.
Do You want the Colts? I'll take the Texans. That's an awesome game to bet.
All right, that's the only way I'm going to watch it.
All right, so that'll do it for us for week 2. Peace out.
Kicking it around my man. It's the sport of kings. Better than diamond rings.